There's a type of person the world can't figure out. They don't know what's trending, don't care what's viral, have no idea what everyone's obsessing over this week. And they're not trying to be cool, they're not making a statement. They just genuinely feel nothing. While everyone's racing to get the new thing, they're still using what works. While the internet explodes over the latest drama, they're scrolling past it. While crowds line up for whatever's hot, they're somewhere else entirely. Not judging, not superior, just indifferent. And there's a psychology behind why some people feel nothing when everyone else is chasing the next big thing. It's not stubbornness, it's not rebellion, it's something deeper. And if you're one of them, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. You know them, the person still wearing clothes from 5 years ago that they actually like, who's never downloaded the app everyone's obsessed with, who looks genuinely confused when you reference the latest meme. They're not rebelling, they're not making a statement, they just don't care. And when you ask them if they've seen the thing everyone's watching, heard the song everyone's playing, tried the place everyone's going, they haven't. Not because they're avoiding it, but because trends feel like homework they never signed up for. The world moves fast, obsesses over the new, discards the old before it's even worn out, and they just don't participate. Some of them learned it early. Maybe they were the kid who didn't want the toy everyone else wanted, who felt nothing when their friends all got obsessed with the same game, the same band, the same whatever. They learnt popularity doesn't make something good. Others tried to keep up, for years, buying what was in, listening to what was hot, following what was trending, and they felt exhausted, always behind, always performing. That's when they stopped, and some just never started. They built their tastes slowly, found what they actually liked, not what they were told to like. And when trends came and went, they stayed the same, not stuck, just consistent. And once they stopped chasing, they found something better, clarity about what they actually want, not what the algorithm suggests, not what influencers promote, not what's in this season or cool this month, but what genuinely resonates with them. And that changes everything. I remember everyone talking about a show I hadn't watched for weeks. Every conversation circled back to it. So I watched it, not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I had to. And halfway through I realized, I don't care. Not because it was bad, but because it didn't move me. I was watching it to have something to say, not because I was genuinely interested. That's when I stopped. I stopped downloading apps because they were popular, stopped buying things because they were trending, stopped pretending to care about the thing everyone cared about this month. And the weird thing? I didn't feel like I was missing out. I felt free from the exhausting cycle of always needing to know, to have, to be in on whatever everyone else was in on. Psychologists call this low conformity drive combined with intrinsic motivation, not contrarian, not resistant to change, just internally directed. Most people's tastes are shaped by social proof. If everyone likes it, it must be good. If it's popular, it must matter. That's how trends work. Collective validation creates momentum. But people who don't follow trends, that mechanism doesn't activate. They need to experience something directly before they value it. They can't convince themselves to like something just because millions of others do. The external validation doesn't transfer. They also tend to have stable self-concept. Their identity isn't built on being current, relevant, or in the know. They're comfortable with, I don't know what that is, and that's okay. And here's what people miss. They're not rejecting trends because they think they're stupid. They're just indifferent. Indifference isn't judgment. It's just nothing. They'd rather spend time on things that have personal meaning than things that have cultural moment. This isn't about being antisocial or disconnected from reality. It's about prioritizing depth over novelty, quality over hype, substance over spectacle. But there's a price for not following trends. You become invisible in certain conversations when everyone's talking about the thing and you have nothing to contribute. You're not part of the moment. Cultural references fly past you, inside jokes you don't get, memes that mean nothing to you, and people think you're judging them. Oh, you're too cool for that? No, I'm just not interested. You think you're better than everyone? No, I just have different priorities. They hear rejection when you're actually just disengaged. And there's the FOMO, the feeling that maybe you are missing something important, that maybe everyone else knows something you don't. Maybe you're making a mistake by not participating, but then the trend passes, and you realize you didn't miss anything that mattered to you. People who don't follow trends are often seen as stubborn, out of touch, or elitist, but here's what they actually are: self-directed. They know what they like independent of what others like. Their tastes are earned, not borrowed. Financially smarter, they're not buying the new thing every cycle, not replacing what works just because it's no longer in. less anxious. They're not constantly monitoring what's current, not worried about being left behind or looking outdated. More intentional. Everything they have, watch, listen to, wear, they chose it deliberately, not because an algorithm told them to. And here's the strength no one talks about: they age better, because their identity isn't tied to being current. Getting older doesn't threaten them. They're not desperately trying to stay relevant to a culture that's always moving. That's not resistance to change, that's immunity to manipulation. Now, to be clear, this isn't about never trying anything new. It's not about being closed-minded or refusing to evolve. People who don't follow trends still discover new things. They just do it on their own timeline, through personal curiosity, not cultural pressure. They're open to the new, they're just not chasing it. They'll try something when it genuinely interests them, not when everyone else is doing it. The difference is autonomy. They're not controlled by the fear of missing out, or the need to belong to the moment. And some trends, they're actually great, genuinely good things that happen to be popular. Not following trends doesn't mean you can't enjoy what's trending. It just means you decide for yourself, not because the world decided for you. You're not against culture, you're just selective about which parts you participate in. You're not anti-progress, you're just not impressed by novelty alone. You need substance, and that's not a flaw, that's a standard. Here's what happens when you stop following trends for years. You start to see patterns the crowd misses. You watch things come back around. The new trend that's actually just recycled from 10 years ago. The revolutionary product that's just a repackaged version of something that already existed. And you realize, most of what's sold as new isn't. It's just remarketed, rebranded, rehyped. You also develop taste that lasts. The things you chose 5 years ago, you still like them. Because you didn't choose them because they were trending. You chose them because they worked for you. Your closet doesn't have clothes you're embarrassed by. Your bookshelf doesn't have regret purchases. Everything you own, you actually use. And over time you build something rare, a coherent identity. Not one that shifts with every new wave, but one that's actually yours. The freedom that comes from not following trends isn't just about money or time. It's psychological freedom. You're not constantly second-guessing yourself, wondering if you're behind, if you're outdated. You're not performing for an invisible audience that's judging your relevance. You're just living. And when something genuinely interests you, you explore it fully, not because it's hot, but because it's meaningful to you. You get to engage with culture on your terms. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. No guilt, no pressure, no fear of missing out on something that was never for you in the first place. The psychology of people who don't follow trends isn't about superiority. It's about having a strong enough sense of self that you don't need external validation. If you're one of them, you've been called out of touch, elitist, boring. You've watched trends explode and die while you stayed the same, and you're okay with that, because your worth isn't measured by your relevance. And in a world obsessed with the new, that's not a weakness, that's a superpower. Stay true, stay timeless. You're exactly where you need to be.